Okay, can you start off by saying who you are and some of your background?
So, my name is Bryan. I'm a teacher and a coach at Yorba High School. I coach basketball. I played basketball in high school until I was hurt. Would have played in college, and I've been coaching basketball for 12 years.
Okay. What do you do differently when coaching between the freshman team, the JV team, and the varsity team?
So the difference between those levels is experience and ability. And so as you go up the level with the freshmen, you're teaching them more skills and things to prepare them. And as you go up the level up to varsity, the varsity players should have the skills by then, and you're refining their skills, and you're really working on just making them better players. By the time you're at the varsity level, you should know more about the game of basketball. You should be in control of your skills, and it's just refining those skills that you were taught as a freshman.
What kinds of ethics or morals do you try to teach to your players when they are on and off the court?
I think the big thing is, it's sportsmanship, being a good sport about things. You play your best, and whatever happens, happens, and you win with pride and dignity, and if you lose, you do the same thing. So, a big thing is just, you don't want them to get too high or too low. When you win, you got to take it the right way. If you lose, as long as you did your best, that's pretty much, what's going to happen is going to happen. So you just teach them to play their hardest, and whatever happens, you take it in stride.
Do you focus more on the slow twitch or the fast twitch muscle fibers?
So for basketball, you're focusing mostly on developing fast twitch muscles so that they can be quicker and more agile when they're on the court. You work on slow twitch as well, just to build strength and things like that, but the fast twitch is the ones that you really want to try to develop.
What do you do to develop these muscle fibers?
So slow twitch, you have the weightlifting and things like that, so you can just build your strength. And then in the fast twitch, what you more want to focus on with practice, you can do a lot of different drills to get them quicker feet and quicker reflexes, things like that. So there are a lot of different drills that you can do in practice to help them develop that. And there are a lot of things they can do outside of practice on their own as well.
Do you think that intrinsic or extrinsic motivation is more beneficial to your players?
It has to be intrinsic, because if they don't want to do well, then they're not going to do well. You can't, give them a prize every time they win or doing something right. They have to want, to do it on their own. They have to want to be a better player, because if they're just doing it for somebody else, then it's never really gonna sink in. They're never gonna play their best, because they're always just doing it for somebody else. You've really got to stress that, if you really want to play basketball, it's because you really love doing it and you want to be a better player. It's not because your friend wants you to, or your mom's going to buy you a cookie after the game or something like that.
What kind of drills do you do to improve your players' motor skills?
For what skills?
Motor skills.
Motor skills. So depending on what it is, like dribbling, you can do a lot of different drills with cones and things like that, and with players, so you can improve hand-eye coordination and things like that. Shooting, there are a lot of different shooting drills, again, to deal with hand-eye coordination. And the big thing really is being able to, like for dribbling, the big thing is you want to develop, don't look at the ball when you're dribbling it, and so there's a lot of different ways you can do that. There's hundreds of them you can look up. The shooting is the other big one, and again, you can play a lot of games with it. But the important thing is, the first drills, you really need to teach them how to shoot the ball right, and they have to develop the right form before they start, doing a lot of shooting. You want to start them close to the basket, so they learn how to do it right, and then you can move them farther away as they develop the proper form, so that they can be good shooters.
Do you use any instruments to measure the progress of your players?
As far as instruments go, most of the progress you can measure has to do, it's just simply keeping charts and things like that. For vertical leap, of course, you can use like a tape measure or something, but other than that, in the weight room, you can kind of just mark progress as they work out by, what kind of weights they're using and things like that. In practice, you can use a lot of shooting charts and things, so you can measure, how many shots they're making at different places. Is it getting better throughout the season or worse? And you can mark things that way, but there aren't really a lot of instruments that you need to use for basketball.
Okay. What are the differences you notice when looking back at when you played basketball to players of today?
I think the biggest thing is when you look at players, they're bigger, stronger, faster than they used to be. So the training part has come a long way since I played, and the off the court thing where they're just getting a lot stronger and they're working with trainers, so they're getting quicker and things like that. That wasn't around as much back when I played.
How do you decide what areas to work on during practice?
So simply with practice, you kind of go off of where your team is from the games you play, things like that. You know, if you're struggling defensively, then you spend more time doing that. If you're struggling with your offense, you know, they're not running the plays right or things like that, you spend more time with that. It really just during the season is based on how your season's going and you know, where they're doing good and where they're not. So you always want to hit all the points of it, but depending on how the game went, you want to emphasize something that you struggled with in the last part.